What's going on? It's your boy DameSmiff, and today we're gonna go over Nelly at JuicyFest in Australia back in 2023. We're in a bit of a time warp where we're stuck in 2023, but essentially we're gonna break this concert down without sound, and we're gonna look at what makes this concert so successful from the perspective of a musician and artist. And this is going to be great for newer musicians or musicians who may not have, performed at certain levels to kind of learn what they can add to their own performance or improve upon. And so if you like conversations like this, make sure you hit the like button. That way, more people can see this video, and then also hit the subscribe button so you can see my latest upload and be up to date on the latest video. So let's get into it. Now, I do want to mention that I've never ever met a Nelly fan. I don't even think there are like Nelly fans, if that makes sense. And here's what I mean by that. That's not a bad thing. That means that there isn't somebody I've ever met that was like, yo, throw on that Nelly. Yo, play that one Nelly album. I haven't heard that until I went to like St. Louis, where clearly everybody loves Nelly. But I think we all are Nelly fans. I don't think there's a person that dislikes Nelly. I don't think that's how that works. I don't think you can play a Nelly song and be like, he's trash. I don't think you can say that. I think you may not like a song, but I don't think there's a person who dislikes Nelly. So when I say I've never met a Nelly fan, I think we're all just naturally Nelly fans. Bro has just timeless music. It just is what it is. It's just unstoppable. So here we are at JuicyFest. I don't even know what JuicyFest is. What is JuicyFest? Okay, actually, this is cool. This is cool. This is the first concert where we actually get to see this. So you remember how I always point out how there's a cameraman in the venue with like a really, really high level camera? This is that. This is what it is right here. So this is the footage we're probably gonna see from this show that comes from those cameramen. And so it's probably edited, which is good. So we're going to see like the best of the best as far as angles and lighting and stuff like that. But we also get to see proper promotion. So Dirty Entertainment, which is Nelly's label, is the first thing we see. That is awesome. All the other videos we saw was just the venue opening up to a show. But now, because we're actually getting the exclusive footage that I tell you guys is an actual freaking gold mine, we get to see it working in action. We don't like down here at the bottom, all these little lights, these are cell phones. We're not about to see no grainy TikTok footage. We're about to see the real deal. And I think that's key for you guys to understand. Have a videography team. Live performance, JuicyFest, Melbourne, Australia. Oh shit. Okay, first thing I noticed, this is expensive. This is very, very, very expensive. Lots of monitors, lots of speakers, a rack of lights, a lot of electricity. We're seeing the only minimalist part is that there's not a lot of creativity in the stage setup. There is utility in the stage setup. It's set up very smart, especially for a hip hop show. It looks like there's a panel here for TV screens and then a TV screen in the back, but they're showing the same things. And in between the two screens is clearly the DJ booth. And then probably to the left and right is just, stage left, stage right entrances for artists to come up and on. Now, the reason I'm saying this is good for utility and not as creative is that it's not unique to Nelly. It's not unique to St. Louis. It's probably not unique to Australia. It's just a stage, right? It's a cheeseburger of stages. It's got bread, lettuce, cheese, tomatoes, whatever, right? But this has a lot of utility in that these TV screens can have anything on them. We can put whatever band is on here, whatever group, whatever singer, whoever's getting on this stage, right? And then as far as making changes, it's very easy. So if we wanted to, tear down this little booth here, put a whole band up here, we can do that. If we wanted to tear down the TVs and this big old booth here, we can do that. Very easy versus the Usher stage we saw that was very unique. that whole room would have to be renovated if you wanted to, not replicate it. So that's what I mean by like, it's not creative. It's not like identifying or niche to a certain artist or a certain brand or a place, even for that matter. You'll see smaller venues and theaters try to fight that, where they'll have like, traditional pieces and things like that that kind of represent the area. Ooh, big bright lights. Okay, so this is just a big old concert fest. Now, mind you, this stage setup being this minimalistic is probably because this is all going to get torn down by the end of this festival. This isn't an actual venue. It's just set up as like a makeshift venue, if that makes sense. So it looks like they're just showing drone footage of Australia, which is cool. And look at all the people. I don't know if they chose all these single ladies to come up front or if Australia has a lack of men in the population that love Nelly, but that was a lot of just ladies out there. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like they're just going through saying yes, yes, y'all, and we don't stop with the DJ. Okay, here comes Nelly. So they switched the graphics up. These graphics are very, very, basic graphic designer shit, just flickering, lights, sequentials, and stuff like that. Ooh, pay attention to this. Do you notice these dots right here? They're not really dots. These are actually parts where each TV connects to the other. So my engineering team, my tech guys, my electricity guys, let me know what's happening here. Like, why do we see these dots and how does this system work in general? But I'll explain as much as I know. So basically, all of these TVs are synced up in order to play one big image, right? And but what you can do is you can make each TV work independently if you want, or make them team up to where you have like one light here and it'll kind of fade into different lights. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out is because there's levels to this. So similar to how we pointed out with Usher, how there was just a camera pointed at him that just projected a video. Now you can actually design very, very, very creative visuals when you have a series of TVs like this that can either show lyrics, logos, and as you just saw, drone footage and stuff like that. You can get really creative. And there we have the superstar himself, Nelly. So the only thing I noticed that I probably would have changed, but I don't know if that's a venue thing, was that when Nelly came out, there's no spotlight. I don't know why. Why not the spotlight? I don't know if it turned on late. It looks like it did, but the spotlight guy wasn't ready. Yeah, it's off. Yeah, right here. It's off. See, little things like that you don't notice as a fan because, who cares? We're here to see Nelly. But that is something I noticed. When he came out, there was no spotlight, and then it turns on. And then the light finally catches. It's finally landing. But it was just in time for him to turn around and start. So that's actually pretty good. Now, the next thing we notice, Jesus Christ, Pyro-technics. All right, but the next thing we notice is his outfit. Just like every other performance we've seen so far, it's very minimalistic. It's not heavily layered. He may have an undershirt at the most, but loose fitting pants. They're not form fitting. They're not baggy or anything like this. I just want you to piece together that the elite level musicians that we're seeing on stage wear belts. Their pants don't sag. They're wearing basic outfits like t-shirts, maybe a little bit of jewelry and some sunglasses for style. But I just want you to just connect that together when you start to see people go on stage and they have these elaborate outfits or designer clothes that just aren't functional for their performance. This is Nelly we're talking about, okay? He's just wearing a white tee, jewels, a hat, and some pants, okay? Now, the pyrotechnics are crazy, but because we're so close in terms of this camera angle, we didn't get to see the full effect of that. But that costs money. That's expensive. So this little box right here, I think is this box, is the one that shoots the flames up. I don't know how it works, but I think it shoots pretty much just like a gas that ignites and it just shoots up and then it cuts off. It's very important to understand the safety behind this. We've all seen the famous Michael Jackson Pepsi commercial incident, but essentially you can't control fire once it escapes. So you can try and mitigate it, but unless you can put it out immediately, you can't really control it. So the main thing you want to focus on when it comes to pyrotechnics is rehearsal, practice, practice, practice. You want to know what works, why it doesn't work, and what's gonna happen, especially. Because you don't want to be in a situation where your foot is sitting on one of these monitors and then you try to do a pyrotechnic blast and then an ember lands on your white tee and now you're on fire. So you don't want that to happen. And I think I'm noticing Mike, who is that? I actually don't know what that was. Let me know in the comments. I'm not versed enough to know what this guy back here is doing. What's this fella doing here? I don't know what he's doing behind the DJ. It looks like he's just showing, or he's like holding up a microphone, but I'm not sure. All right, bet. So now the performance is pretty much just going off without a hitch. We can just pretty much just rap and just go through. And again, just like most of these hip hop concerts, very low cost DJ, rapper, combo, press play, you rap. Now, I will say this, it sucks that we're not listening to the sound because I know for a fact Nelly is not dubbing. He is not using any, he is rapping every word right now. There is no overlay. It's an instrumental and just him. I promise you he is he is not dubbing at all. And that's the cool thing about rap concerts. Most rap concerts today, they're cool with the dubbing because a lot of artists have lost their passion in performance and more so just in just gigging. Like they'll just play the song because you guys are there. Like we saw the Usher performance in Vegas, and we noticed that he wasn't singing as much as maybe like 90% of the song. He may have been singing like 80, but it really just comes down to that he's able to do that because of his connection with his fans. Whereas with hip hop, especially Nelly in particular, his connection with his fans is that he is an MC. Is that particularly he is going to be the one rocking you on the mic. Now, there's a dancer here. She's not as important, hence why there's no spotlight on her. The stage isn't lit up for her. I don't know if that's a venue choice or a performance choice on Nelly and his team, but she's honestly there to kind of bring the groove because this spotlight here is still on this artist. And when he moves to the left, so does the spotlight. And then when Nelly moves to the right, so does the spotlight. So she's really here just for the vibe of the stage and things like that, which is still important. She plays a role just like the other girl in Usher's show, but it's a different role in that she probably has it set up to where she's probably going to do a few songs and things like that. Whereas the girl in Usher's show, she had to do almost a standalone performance to Usher music until he returned, which is kind of crazy. Okay, there's multiple girls on stage. So now if we can get a full shot of the stage, we probably can see the full idea of what they were trying to do with the dancers. But again, just remember, they're not the ones in focus. The artist is 100% of the time. And that's key. So remember, you as an artist, there's going to be times where you're going to try to do things on stage. You kind of can't. Like this guy right here, he got spotted. You as a fan, you don't really care that this guy behind Nelly is walking back here, but that is something to think about whenever you are the actual artist, is that you can't sneeze, you can't pick your boogers, you can't, fix your pants and stuff like that. Like cameras are on you at all times. Whereas these dancers, though they play a role, they're kind of improvising. Like these dancers play a role in that, in the same way that like people selling drinks at this concert play a role. Like they sell drinks and they don't have to be like bartenders, but if they can get you a drink, that's fine. So we're not really expecting this girl to do like amazing dance moves and kill it. She just needs to play her role, which is to keep the vibes going, which she's doing well. Now, going back to his outfit, I never noticed the number 3. I don't know what that represents, but there is a lot of symbolism in what you choose to wear, because if you paid attention to the previous angles here, these really close angles, this is kind of how the fans see you. So when you're thinking about like, how your beard looks, how your body looks, how your muscles look, how you look on camera and stuff like that, that's one thing. But then how do you look when they walk up to you in person? That plays a huge role as well, because these angles are something that you're going to really pay attention to as an artist until someone brings it to your attention. And that's something I think for somebody like Nelly, maybe at his level, he probably has a team of people who help him develop the stage. Hence why there's dancers, there's lighting and things like that. And again, I think the outfit is handpicked. I think he handpicked this outfit for either this performance or just for his performances in general. Another thing I've noticed, and I don't know if that's him or if that's just for this local, like maybe these girls are local, but these girls have a similar look. So they're not the same complexion, but they have a similar like body type and maybe like dancing style. That's key too, because you're still kind of promoting and branding yourself. Like, this is the type of dancing you do to this music. This is the type of vibe we have to this music. It's not just all pretty just standing there. Like these girls are actually performing. So That's key. You want to be able to get girls that, know how to dance and not just look pretty and stand on stage. But I think this gentleman here, I don't know what he's doing. I want to say he's recording audio. I just wish he would just not pop up. Or he's taking video. He could be recording video. Probably like a little camera. Okay, cool. So this is the spotlight. So this is the two spotlights that they have on Nelly and his co-star there. So the thing about them being late isn't as much of a big deal because of how this crowd is. It's not as intimate. So it's not like it was really a big deal for the video, but I think them being late was just that they're not directly connected to this music set. So it being JuicyFest, it's a big festival. There's probably a lot of different artists coming out, a lot of different ways they're coming out. So they're probably not considering, let's make sure we're getting the spotlights correct and things like that. But that was interesting to see what the spotlights look like and where they're positioned, because now we can understand how it's working. So like she doesn't really understand how it's working. And the only reason I say she doesn't understand how it's working, because there was a moment right here that I can tell, even without hearing the music, right here, we can pretty much imply that the song is over or the song is ending. And now he's emceeing, he's talking directly to the fans. And this is a moment where they want to see Nelly. But watch what happens. She kind of creeps into the frame. So what that does is it's distracting for two reasons. One, we're here for Nelly. And then two, she's not in the spotlight. So now it's kind of like having a painting and somebody just took green paint. That's what my old band director would say. He's like, you just splash green paint all over the whole picture. And I don't think she knew that. I don't think she understood that, because in her perspective, she's not, even right here, you can see she's not looking at Nelly. She's not directly looking at him to understand what's going on, which tells me one of two things again. This was not rehearsed. This particular moment wasn't rehearsed. And two, they don't have a clear leader on the stage in this video. They might have one in general, but right here, she doesn't know what to do. So she's about to, because I don't even know where the other dancer is, because if the other dancer came up to on the other side of Nelly, this would have made sense. It would have looked symmetrical. I probably wouldn't have questioned it. But now that she's by herself, steps into the frame, she's dancing. Even Nelly goes, "Oh, hello." And now he's like, "Oh, hi. Yeah, now we're looking at you dance. You're not the star." So it's cute, it's sexy, it's a thing. It's just not the right timing. And look, even the spotlight had to widen because he was like, all right, I guess this is a thing now. You see how he starts to adjust and put her into the frame. So it's not that she's, evil or doing anything wrong. She's just distracting. She doesn't need to be there. Her part of her role is done. She needs to be moving on now. So unless they're about to do a duet here, this is pretty much improv. This is not a thing. They're pretty much just dancing. But again, she's not in the spotlight, so I don't understand. And so we're back to Nelly. Nelly's rip rapping, she's dancing, but she's not in the spotlight, so we can't see her. I don't understand why we're doing this. That's why I know it's improv. I know they didn't rehearse this. I know they didn't. They're gonna tell me they did. They're gonna watch this and tweet me and be like, "Nah, we rehearsed this. We planned this. You didn't plan this. There's no way you planned this. You planned the beats. You planned the count. You probably planned how long y'all were gonna be on stage, but you did not plan how this looked. I can tell. I guarantee you." So now she darts off stage. I don't know where she went. She's gone. Okay. Now we're back. So let's fast forward a little bit more. And we're getting into the next song. And I think one thing to kind of understand too, when I say there's no clear leader, I think it comes from the fact that Nelly has to perform right now. He has to perform right now. He can't direct, because he's literally rapping every bar on the song. He's not putting the mic away to let the crowd sing. I honestly and truly believe, I haven't heard this video, but I truly believe there's just an instrumental. There's no Nelly backing voices and things like that. But that's what kind of leads to situations like that. Like there will be moments where it's just kind of up in the air. And as an artist, it looks cringy. But if I'm just some gooner dude in the crowd, 45-year-old drunk dude who's like, oh yeah, Nelly, JuicyFest, I'm from Australia, black booty. That's all I would really care. You know, who really cares? She wants to twerk. She won't stop twerking and she won't leave. So let her. But if I'm a musician, I'm like, all right, you can twerk, but why? Why are we doing this? You know, and that's controversial for people because they think entertainment is just feeding people, you know, whatever they like. But it just looks strange, right? So now that they're back, the dancers are back, they're back in sync. You see how much better they look? I wish they had a wider light to brighten the stage because they are killing it. It's just they need to be intentional about when and where they're going to position themselves. And this is a big thing. The only reason I'm pointing and really criticizing the dancers is because you can't really judge a rapper without hearing them. But the dancers are a part of the stage as far as this whole setup here, right? Ooh, this is a great angle. But they're a part of the stage as far as what it looks like. So if they're going to position themselves, they have to be in positions. And I'm only doing this because if you look at band dancers in like a marching band, there's formations they have to be in. There's certain beats they have to hit. And these dancers know this. I'm sure they've been in marching band and shit like that or heard of other girls. But now that we're in hip hop, we can't lower the standard. We can't do that. Because what then happens is the cringy moments we just had where the girl is improvising and it starts to take away from the reason the fans are here, right? Because there was probably a girl who, you know, has a crush on Nelly. You're in the way. Like, get out of the way. you're in the way. She's trying to see Nelly. And if you think it's about you twerking, it's not. Even if the other girl did it, if they were both up there just twerking around on Nelly, it's like, all right, eventually let's get 16 beats of this and get you out the way because we're not here for that. So we have to be extra intentional if we want to compete with Joe, Tech Nine, Michael Jackson, Beyonce. If we want to compete with them, with our dancing ladies, we have to be intentional about how hard we're going to hit when we dance. Like we saw in the Usher Las Vegas performance. When that lady came out, she did a fucking cartwheel. She was doing stripper moves. She was twerking a little bit, but it was very intentional, trained, you know, thoughtful dancing when it comes to the provocative sexuality in it. It wasn't improv. That's all I'll tell you. Because she improv that cartwheel, she risked an injury for the job. That shit was amazing. But this is actually a great piece to look at for the stage setup. So again, I wish there was more white light to shine onto the DJ and the actual stage. But I think that's a choice because they're here for Nelly. They're not here for it. It's just not that. You saw they only had 2 spotlights back there. But the choice of lights here is pretty much for the audience. That's why a lot of these festivals are set up this way. They're just going to shine a bunch of big bright lights so it can just feel like, whoa, it's shocking and things like that. So they're not setting it up like a theater like we saw in the Joe performance where like they would have all the lights be a mood for the band and the actual stage. The entire venue now has to be a mood. So now you standing 50 feet back where this camera angle's from has to feel like it's in a mood. Not so much the stage. So that's why on stage, honestly, that girl probably couldn't tell that the spotlight, you know, wasn't on her because it's so dark. Because it can't see much as far as what's going on stage. Alongside there not being any like actual direction on the stage. So what I think happened is this was probably a performance that they just had in the tuck, like an A show or a B show. They flew out to Australia, did some rehearsals, and was like, let's knock this out the park. And you know, like most shows, things go a little different, but I think that's fine because rap shows like this, they're so simple. Like we can break down the equipment and all this stuff like that, but this show is so simple that it's really just going to come down to y'all's connection to Nelly, the lyrics, and how hard the songs hit. Because if we played the music, we'd probably start talking about all the places we've been when we heard the songs and our first time hearing it and stuff like that. So I guess the next thing we can start talking about is how they're using a lot of these graphics here on these screens to help represent. And if you notice here, you see the split between the DJs, TVs and the TVs behind the DJs. I know that looks funny from our angle, but if at some point we do get a lower angle or an even length angle to Nelly, it'll even out to where it all looks like one solid fluid picture. So it only looks disjointed like that because they're using multiple TVs on a bunch of different squares, pushing a bunch of pixels around at once. And in order to make it smooth, they have to basically split up the TVs in order to make it visually look correct and accurate. But yeah, this is a pretty basic hip hop performance in the sense that most hip hop performances are going to look like this. Let's try and skim through and get a little further in. I want to get some shots of like the crowd and stuff. The crowd will be able to show us a little bit more as far as how the venue is set up. Yeah, there we go. This is fire. Fuck yeah. Okay. I don't even know if all these people are here for Nelly, but because it is a festival. Festivals have a lot of different bands, but this is actually pretty cool, which again, I'm only disappointed in that they're not using the whole stage. Yeah, you got all this over here, all this over here. Yeah, if we were going to do dancers, you would need a line of dancers, or if we're going to do Nelly, we probably don't need the hype man. I'm sorry, hype man. Unless you're like an integral part of the lyrics. We probably could have Nelly literally just control this whole thing death clock style. Like there's no point in wasting all this space. Look at all that. But this is the white light actually that I was looking for earlier with the dancers. This is the lighting we needed. This is the light. Yes. These white lights and all of these things like that would have really illuminated the dancers. And I think she then wouldn't have been confused as to what to do when he was standing there addressing the end of the song. Again, they're gonna act like they rehearsed that. They didn't rehearse that. You can't tell me you rehearsed standing there like that. That was funny. That was funny. So let's see. I want to see a bigger shot of the crowd. There we go. This is not the crowd. This is just a random angle. But yeah, this is a basic hip hop show through and through. I think the only really technical part is going to be emceeing, and we really can only break that down with audio because emceeing is very emotional. It's very you got to be able to really understand what people are feeling in real time to master emceeing, and clearly Nelly's okay with that. He's good to go. Like I said, there is no Nelly hater. You can't hate Nelly. If you hate Nelly, you're probably dumb. It is what it is. Let's see. I think that's pretty much going to be the show as far as what they're elevating to. Okay, so there's different pyrotechnics. So they have different kinds, fire, sparks, and things like that. So I wonder if there's a different price for the different pyrotechnics you want. So if you want flames, is it one thing? Is it a bundle package? Do you just buy everything and you just get to use, and whatever you don't use, you return? Like, how does that work? But yeah, this crowd is insane. For you to not utilize all this space around here, I would be going crazy on this jump. We going ham, which I think kind of speaks to maybe Nelly rapping all his lyrics. Like that, it's probably not necessary if you're gonna do all the rapping. Like if you're really gonna say every word on the bar, then I mean, I could sit still. Nas does it. Yeah, and they're still going. This is an hour set of just straight bars. Just straight rapping. And again, I guarantee you he's not using a backing track. I guarantee you. I'll put any amount of money on it. There's no backing track. But yeah, all in all, I think this is really good. I think you can't really go wrong with it. They're having fun. I was nitpicking on the dancer because it was just something I noticed. And we nitpick on dancers in marching band about formations and timing and stuff. So it was just something I noticed. But this is a dope show. I think I do want to see Nelly live if I ever get the chance. Because again, the dude can rap, man. Dude can really rap. I don't know his lyrics, but when you can really rap, that's a rap fan's like greatest like feature. Like go to your show and you're gonna rap everything. Like Tech Nine shows, Twister shows, Busta Rhymes, fucking Nelly, Ludacris. All these people they don't play around. Like they're not gonna no backing tracks. But everybody else, it feels like you're just listening to a boombox with them in the room. So I don't know all of Nelly's lyrics, but like, look at her. They are rocking out. Like if you know all the words, yeah, this show gonna hit a lot different because he know all the words. and you're gonna be basically singing it alongside Nelly. This shit is crazy. But yeah, if you enjoy concerts like this and you want to see more like this, make sure you hit the like button, because I will be making more videos like this, and I will see you guys next time in the next concerts without sound. But I'm out, y'all. Peace.